You know, wearable technology is absolutely everywhere. It's on our wrists, tracking our steps, our sleep, even our heart rates. But what if the next huge leap forward wasn't another watch or a chest strap? What if it was something so thin, so perfectly integrated with our bodies that it was, well, practically invisible? We're about to dive into a technology that could completely change how we understand our own health. And it all starts with something that looks a little bit like this.
So, take a really close look at this arm. Do you see that faint little pattern? That is not just some cool design. That's a fully functional biosensor. It's an electronic tattoo. And the real question we're digging into today is how on earth can a device that's so discreet monitor something as incredibly complex as your brain activity or your heart's rhythm?
All right, so in this explainer, we are going to peel back the layers on this pretty remarkable technology. We're going to look at the problems it's trying to solve, you could say, wonder material that makes it all possible, and of course, just how well it actually performs in the real world.
Now, to really get why this is such a game changer, we first have to talk about the current state of medical-grade sensors. And honestly, they really haven't changed all that much in a long, long time.
Just picture it. You're getting an EKG or an EEG in a hospital. You're literally hooked up to all these machines with tons of wires and these thick, chunky electrodes taped all over your skin. It's confining, it's uncomfortable, and it is definitely not something you can just wear around while you're living your life. Here's the messy part. To get a decent signal, those sensors need this layer of goopy, cold, conductive gel. Not only can this stuff irritate your skin, but the worst part is that it dries out. And when it dries out, the signal quality just gets worse and worse, which makes any kind of long-term monitoring a huge pain.
So what this all really boils down to is that our current tools, they're pretty much stuck in the lab. I mean, they're fantastic for a quick, short-term diagnostic test, but they completely fall short when it comes to continuous, real-world health tracking. We just need something better, something that can live with us, seamlessly.
And that is exactly where this incredible material comes into the picture. The secret ingredient, the magic that makes these invisible sensors a reality, is a material called graphene.
Graphene's properties, they are just perfect for this job. It's the thinnest conductive material we know of, it's almost totally transparent, it's unbelievably strong but also super flexible, and it's biocompatible, which means it won't tick off your skin. It is literally as if nature designed it for this exact purpose.
So, the big question is, how do you take this wonder material and turn it into a functional sensor that you can actually wear? Well, researchers have come up with a device they call the Graphene Electronic Tattoo, or GET for short. And the way they make it is just brilliantly simple and super cost-effective. They basically grow a super thin layer of graphene, transfer it onto temporary tattoo paper, yep, the same stuff, and then they use a mechanical cutter, almost like a craft cutter you'd have at home, to create the intricate sensor patterns. No need for complex, crazy expensive machinery.
And applying it, it's pure magic. You just use water, exactly like a temporary tattoo you'd get as a kid. There's no glue, no sticky adhesives. It just conforms to all the microscopic ridges of your skin using nothing more than what are called van der Waals forces. The easiest way to think about it is like how a gecko can just stick to a wall. It's this very weak, totally natural attraction between molecules, but it's more than strong enough to hold this ultra-thin sensor perfectly in place.
So, what's the total thickness of this thing? A mind-bogglingly small 463 nanometers.
Now that number probably doesn't mean a whole lot on its own until you realize that a single human hair is over 150 times thicker. So this isn't just thin, it's so completely imperceptible that your body barely even registers that it's there. And because it's so incredibly thin, it's also unbelievably flexible. The way it's designed, in this sort of serpentine pattern, it allows it to stretch by more than 40%. That is way beyond what your own skin can do. So when your skin compresses or stretches, the tattoo just moves right along with it without cracking or peeling off. It's amazing.
Okay, so it's thin, it's flexible, it's super easy to apply. But the million-dollar question is still on the table. Can a sensor this tiny actually compete with the big, bulky, gel-based equipment that hospitals use? Well, let's take a look at the data.
All right, let's start with brain activity. So they put a GET sensor on someone's forehead to do an EEG. Now look at the two charts on the right. The top one is the GET signal. The bottom is a standard sensor. When the person closes their eyes, watch how both of those charts light up in that lower frequency band. That's called the alpha rhythm, a really clear sign of a relaxed brain. And the signals, they are virtually identical.
Okay, so what about the heart? Well, for this test, a GST was placed on the chest to measure an ECG, and the graph it produced shows an incredibly clean signal. You can clearly see all of those characteristic peaks that cardiologists look for, the P, Q, R, S, and T waves. In fact, the GST signal, which is the black line, is actually a little bit stronger and cleaner than the one from the standard commercial electrode, which you see there in red.
So when you put them side by side like this, the verdict is just crystal clear. The Graphene e-tattoo isn't just a more convenient alternative. In many ways, it's actually superior. It's dry, it's breathable, and it's nearly invisible. But the most critical factor is right here on this bottom line, the signal-to-noise ratio. A higher number means a cleaner signal, right? And the GET's 15.22 decibels easily beats the standard gel electrode. You are getting better data with way less hassle.
You know, a huge problem for any kind of wearable sensor is motion. When you move around, it can create all this noise that just ruins the data. But because the GET conforms so perfectly to the skin, it's incredibly stable. When the researchers actually poked the skin to simulate movement, the GET showed motion artifacts that were just as low as the super sticky gel electrodes. For a dry sensor, that is a massive win.
So, what does all of this mean? Where is this incredible technology actually heading? Because this isn't just about building a better sensor. This is a whole new paradigm for how we can interact with our own bodies.
The potential applications here are just astounding. I mean, imagine continuous medical-grade health monitoring that just happens in the background of your life, basically democratizing healthcare by bringing that hospital-level data right into our homes. Or think about fitness trackers that give you data on actual muscle activation, not just how much you're moving. Or seamless human-machine interfaces, where you can control devices with just a subtle muscle twitch. It can even track things like skin temperature and hydration levels, all from a single invisible patch.
And this really brings us to a final, pretty provocative thought. We're moving from an era of clunky devices that we have to wear to a new era of imperceptible electronics that basically become a part of us. So the question isn't just about what we can track anymore. It's about what new possibilities will open up for all of us when the boundary between human and technology becomes this thin, this invisible.